Hello, happy Monday, everyone. Hopefully, everybody had a great weekend. I'm so happy to see all of your faces here today. And Belinda, thank you very much for coming us for the second part. We really love the first part. So we finally got Tori back. So Tori, we're so happy to
Hi,
have you
everyone.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Tori, you're gonna be leading today the discussion and helping us uncover a little bit more about Belinda. Marcy, Christine, let's get going.
All right. Well, Belinda, thank you so much for joining us again here on E3. For those of you who weren't here for the previous meeting when we had Belinda here, let me take a moment to introduce you and tell you a little bit about her. Belinda is, first of all, she is a very successful entrepreneur. She's the founder of the VA Connection. She's a coach and a mentor of over 30,000 people in over 47 countries. And Belinda has had a profound impact on many lives and many entrepreneurs starting their own business. And I am happy to say that Belinda has had that type of impact on my life. I met Belinda over a year ago, and she has been my coach and my mentor for over a year. And just in that short period of time, Belinda has truly transformed my business, me personally, and my life. So I am so happy to welcome Belinda back to E3, and so that we can learn so much about her and her experiences. So thank you for being with us, Belinda.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And you are now officially in charge of introducing me for the rest of my life.
Okay, I will gladly
I was
take
like,
that.
wow, thank you.
Well, Belinda, last time you were with us, we talked a lot about your background, how you became an entrepreneur, and a lot about mindset. And a lot of the questions that people had and all the feedback we were getting back was, wow, just how much they just truly appreciated how you were able to just explain your story. And I wish Derek were here with us today, because that's really his niche right there, is storytelling. But mindset for an entrepreneur is one of those things that we battle with constantly. And so I think it would be a really good topic for us to kind of dive into a little bit more today, and to find out how you have become so successful battling what I love that you talk about, the chicken chatter.
Absolutely. No, I think that'd be a great discussion, because no matter what business you're in, and actually every human has chicken chatter, the voices in our heads. And I know for me, the discovery that I wasn't alone, because I spent so many years thinking that I was the only one that had these voices talking to me in my head, because no one talks about it. Right. And so I think to uncover it and really shine a light on it will help people, whether they're entrepreneurs or not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What are some of the things that you personally battle with the chicken chatter in your own mind that you've struggled with a lot as an entrepreneur?
Well, two things. One is getting overwhelmed. I can overwhelm myself in 2 minutes, and I can catastrophize. And that was something I was really good at. So what I mean by catastrophize is, let me think of an example. I didn't get the new client. I'm not going to be able to pay the rent. I'm going to have to move. Emily's going to have to switch schools. This is going to be really bad. People are watching me. They're going to be judging me and talking about me, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Or you can say, I didn't get the new client. Well, you don't actually know you didn't get it. Like, she's still thinking about it. So just because she hasn't been in touch with you for a day, it doesn't mean that you didn't get it. And anyway, you're not focused on just one person. What you're doing is you're spreading the word all over the place. So why don't we just spread the word now? I think I'll spend this time, instead of catastrophizing, writing a newsletter or reaching out to a friend or going for a walk. So it's really learning to, what I call, soothe myself, calm myself down, because I am anxious. I can easily just go zoop, but I've learned the feeling inside of me. So when that starts to happen, I think, okay, we're at a fork in the road. What are we going to do now? And I've been practicing this for about 20 years. And so now the fork is pretty short. It's like, okay, but it was a struggle. It was a struggle. And I was a professional worrier and complainer 20 years ago, for sure.
Yeah, if I may chime in here, when we had our podcast conversation, I loved that you mentioned that we're not doing this right now. Can you expand on that? Because I love the way you explain that.
Yeah, sure. I'll give it my best. So, something will happen. Okay. So it can be external or internal. What can happen is my husband could walk in right now and say, we need to talk about blah, 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 blah. And it's not urgent and I'm in the middle of something. And so I wouldn't say to him, oh yeah, we're not doing that right now. What I would say is, oh, that's awesome. Can't wait to talk to you. Can we do that at 5? Can we do that at 3? Right. So I negotiate with him. And if he says no, and it's really important to him, then I will pivot if I have to. It's not like hard and fast. But what happens often is I'll be in my day and I'll realize something, I'll get an email. All right, I'll get an email and it'll be something either fun, exciting, troubling, it'll be something emotional maybe. And in that moment that I start to lean into that and without making a conscious choice, the second I realize that, I literally say to myself, just like this, oh yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that right now. What we're doing is this. And sometimes it's hard because there are things that I don't like to do in my business. Like what I don't like, it's not that I don't like the money. It's I like the money. It's that there are housekeeping aspects of the money that I don't enjoy. That's really what the housekeeping. And it's very easy for me to not spend 1 hour a week or 30 minutes a week. And I was doing that housekeeping chore yesterday, and I was constantly talking to myself, just finish this part, just finish this part, just stop it, just stop. Let's just do this. And then afterward, I was so happy. I'm like, yay, I am done for a week. Instead of it dragging on all week and feeling bad about it, I just did it, and it actually is never as bad as I think it's going to be. Right? Isn't that true with everybody? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I build it up so much in my mind of how horrible it's going to be. And if I just dive in and do it. And I think that that's been one of my greatest successes in working with you, Belinda, is how you've been truly able to cut through all of that. And I can relate to you so well because you are so relatable and I can see a lot of myself in you. And I'm like, okay, Belinda can do that. I can do that. And then just really just diving down and going, it's not as bad as you think. Just take a breath, take a beat and do it. And so, and again, that's, I think what has been so inspiring to me over the year and few months that we've met and known each other has just been the fact that it's not just business issues. It's just the way it's totally transformed my life to be able to have someone that I can check in with or that I see as successful. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at what they did, and be able to find ways to implement that into my own life. So thank you for all of that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm going to say the thing that popped into my mind. And that is a lot of times people spend significant time on the what ifs. Right? The what if this, what if that? And so we had one in our personal life. So I can't blow the secret, but somebody that we know that's related to us closely bought a diamond and is probably going to be getting married soon. Right? So we haven't had anything official. And we heard a rumor that the wedding that we need to be at is going to be in Majorca. So we Googled airfare to Majorca, and it starts at $2,700 a ticket. And I'm going to need to buy at least 3 tickets. And then if that's the airfare, I can't even imagine what the hotel is. And Greg and I are trying to buy a house. We have some financial goals we're working toward, and we're trying to really, move the needle in that direction. So while we could swing this, it would be a big disruption. And so we looked at it. I looked at him, and then I said, let's just see what happens. We don't know if this is true. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. And I just walked away, and I should check in with him or I would like to check in with him to make sure he's doing the same thing, because without any more information, what we have is somebody else's hearsay of what someone else said about where this wedding might potentially be. It might also be in Brooklyn, which is a 50-minute train ride from my house. Right. So, so it's really, I get a lot of what if questions from VAs, like, what if they all need you at one time? They never do, and we, again, this catastrophize, so if we can just stop our minds from worrying about something where we really don't have all the data. I have actually zero data. I have, in terms of the wedding, it's much healthier, and it makes your life easier.
Yeah. I was listening to Ed Milet
I
yesterday
love him.
and love the guy. Anyway, he was talking about, and it's true, how worry and visualizing what you want are both imagination. So you choose where you place that imagination, right? Whatever you're worrying about, it hasn't happened. So you're just imagining this worst case scenario. You can just as easily imagine the best case scenario and let go of the worry. And I just love that. And it reminded me of that while I was listening to you talk. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing is when you worry about something, what's the expression? Worry is a prayer for something you don't want. So if you put emotion into the universe and you visualize, like sometimes Emily will be my daughter will be in a long car ride, and I'll have something like flash into my head about something's wrong. It's not like an insight. It's just like some random fear. And I immediately stop what I'm doing and imagine her driving safely down the road and everything's fine. And I'll look at my phone and I'll see her car driving down the road. And then I will stop that train of thought, because you can manifest stuff like that, really by thinking about it. And so I'm very careful about what negative thoughts, if any, I'm human, but, I cut them off as quickly as I can.
Absolutely.
Speaking of like negative thoughts, what has been one of the negative thoughts that you've had that you've really struggled with and then finally found a solution that was holding you back as an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a big question. That's a good question. Okay, this is good. I thought that success was outside of me. I thought so I have a bunch of friends who are consultants and they have their MBA and they're pretty fancy, and I don't really see myself like that. And they're really smart, and and I'm watching them get paid lots of money and buying houses and all the things. And I have this business, Blueberry Babies, selling online baby gifts, and it's successful every way but financially. And I would go to parties with, it's not just MBAs. It's just really people who are comfortable. It's not MBAs at all, but that just happened to be the case. That they're successful, they're comfortable. They were consulting, so they were entrepreneurs, and I felt so different from them. And my imposter syndrome was screaming. I didn't even want to talk at the party because I remember saying something that I didn't understand how to talk about it, and I was misunderstood, and it was a huge exaggeration of what I thought I was saying, and I felt so embarrassed. And so it was really thinking that the success was something outside. And what I learned, and I continue to learn this, is that the success is inside of me. It's inside of all of us. But we talk ourselves out of things. We don't get into action. We think that, this was a big one for me. We believe that we can think our way into success, no matter what it is, whether it's finding the right husband or wife or starting a business or finding a client. We believe that we can think our way into it, when it's the action that teaches us. And so I needed to be okay with taking action that might not work out or be great, and to do it in front of other people who are not really watching me anyway.
That is so true. We worry so much about what people think of us. They're not thinking about us at all. Most of the time, they're thinking about themselves.
And being okay to take the action that isn't perfect, right? To just take the action and work out the perfection process as part of the development.
Well, I'll give you an example. This is an idea that I'm thinking about. So a lot of people ask me to help them find a virtual assistant, and I definitely do not want to become a recruiter or a headhunter. That's just like way too emotional for me. Like a lot of drama goes into that, right? And feelings and money and all that stuff. But people keep asking me, and I'm thinking I need a way to make a system to do this. And sometimes what makes it a system is when you charge money. Right. So I'm trying to, because if otherwise I'm doing people favors, and sometimes that's okay. And sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes I just think, if I charge them $200, they would not be asking me this question. And $200 is not a lot of money. Right. So I came up with this idea really quickly, and I haven't fleshed it all out, but I was almost ready to go with it after only thinking about it for a few minutes. But then I realized I was distracting myself from what I really needed to do. So I sketched all my ideas down, wrote all my notes. I had seen some things on websites. I printed them out. I put them in my notebook, and it's on my calendar. But what's probably going to happen is I'm going to write down what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do. I'm going to pick a number. I'm going to put it out there, and either people will use it or they won't. And if lots of people do use it at a certain price, I'll consider, is that the right price? And if the right people are coming and I'm satisfying them, yeah, it probably is. If they're coming and I'm not satisfying them, maybe I need to lower it or change it in some way. But it's in the action. Where I started with the VA connection was 8 people or 6 people in a room paying me next to nothing to test the theory that I wanted to teach people. And then the curriculum was built, and it changed and evolved, and it continues to change and evolve, and I continue to learn new things, and that's it. And then once you get a certain level of comfort with being uncomfortable, or you kind of stop caring what people think so much, it's really fun. It's really fun to have an idea and to figure it out, and to experiment with it and see what works and what doesn't. And I've left many ideas on the curb, like, whoop, that was a bad idea, or not a viable idea right now. And then others have really taken off. More have been left on the curb than have taken off. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And Belinda, just the way you just explained that, for all of the entrepreneurs that will be watching this video, that's the key part right there. We've talked about imposter syndrome, and we end up talking ourselves out of things that really could work and are really good ideas, but we don't think that they're good enough because they were our ideas, and then get frustrated when someone else comes along and takes those ideas and run with it, like, well, I could have done that. But that's what I've learned so much from you, is that it's okay to take a chance. It's okay to fail, and you're going to survive it. It's going to be all right. And there's plenty of other things. And all of those people that we think that are looking at us and are going to have opinions or make us feel bad about ourselves, they're truly just in our mind. It's that chicken chatter, because they're not really there like we think that they are.
Well, and sometimes they are there. Like when I had that idea about people, training, hiring VAs, and I was going to do this in a way that worked for me. I went and I told my husband, wrong. He's the wrong person to tell. Love him madly. It's our 2nd wedding anniversary today. We're having a great day. It's awesome. However, he started in with, well, what are other people charging? Well, can you do that? You can't do that. What about this? You're going to need a contract. And I was like, whoa, we are so not there. We are just in like, what would happen if I told this person? I don't even have to put on my website. I make a list of what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. And the next person that comes, I just give them a link and write an email and say, I'm happy to help you. This is how it works. And no one even knows, but all he was doing was, first of all, he's not an entrepreneur. He's a certified public accountant who has always had a job. Right. And he is trying to protect me. That's not who you want to vet your business ideas. You want to vet it with another entrepreneur, and you want to have code. Like I have code with one of my friends. We call it "Don't Kill My Baby." So I'll say, okay, don't kill my baby. It's not fully formed. This is what I'm thinking. And we just listen and kind of pet the other person. Like, this is a good idea. Let's see where it goes. And most of them, we never even talk about again. But every once in a while, like the VA connection, that was one of those ideas. What if I started this thing for other people? Like it could be like an association. And what if we came together, and I had no idea. And that's how that happened. It was one of those "don't kill my baby" ideas.
Yeah, you know what you just mentioned is really important, is understanding who we go to, right? Like we have a lot of people around us that love us and want to see us well and worry about us. I have that issue with my sister. My sister is a marketing person and she's really, really good at marketing, but she markets for corporations, right? So very often she sees what I put out, my content, my things, and she very well meaningly comes over and tries to give me all this advice. And I have to remind myself, she comes from a well meaning place, but she's not the person that I'm trying to market to, and she doesn't understand where I'm coming from, right? So it's filtering a little bit who we get the information from and the insights from.
Absolutely. And I have had a lot of that in my life, and which is a blessing, right? It means someone cares about you. And how I handled that was I just say, oh yeah, I see what you're talking about. And I don't try to explain, because that just makes it bigger and worse, and then I feel bad. So after a while, I found that by just saying, yeah, they just stopped doing it. Right.
That is great. That is great advice. I think I needed to hear that, because again, we all have that person in our life who they are well-meaning and they want to see it succeed, but they may not be an entrepreneur and do not understand the space as an entrepreneur that we're in. Or even I'm a finance entrepreneur, so then that's a whole different other space, right? Yeah. And what works for everyone else's marketing is not going to work for my marketing necessarily.
Not necessarily, yeah.
Those kinds of, and to take it as just well-meaning advice and not get caught up in it, because I know I'm the first one, like, okay, forget it. I'm just not going to talk to you. I'm just not going to tell you anything. Forget about it. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, when that's really not productive either.
Right. Yeah, it's tricky. I have this sticker. Tori's got one. It says "Stop talking," and we have these made as part of what I teach. And all the time, I ask myself, do I need to say that? Do I need to educate my mother in why she has no clue how to run my organization? Or do I just say, you know what? I can't even believe you were thinking about me. Thank you so much. And then,
yeah,
right. It works well in all relationships. When yeah, because we just don't have to go there. And I always felt like this sense of, here's what it was. It's not that I needed to be right. I wanted to make sure everyone understood my point of view. A lot of people don't understand my point of view on a lot of things. And it doesn't mean we can't be friends or have lunch or be married together, to each other. Because there's things about my relationship with my husband. We have differences. Our values are there, but the way some of them are experienced, like the news, we don't talk about the news. We've had probably 2 fights, and I don't know, we've been together how many years? 11 years. They were both about politics. We don't talk about politics. There's so many other things to talk about, so and if he starts talking about it, I just go, wow. Yeah, I can see why you'd be upset about that.
Yeah. Belinda's hashtag "Stop Talking" sticker. Over the course of the year, I've gathered up 3 of them. I'm not quite sure how I got them, but I love them, and I've shared them with my husband and daughter. And it is amazing how that has transformed their conversations, or really lack of conversations. They'll just think, okay, I'm just going to stop talking. And it's been great. Not only but outside the home as well. So, yeah, you did a great job coining that. John is actually still with us. He's had a little bit of technical difficulty, but one of the comments that he made I want to share is having a mentor is one of the best things to have when starting a business, or having someone who really wants to learn and is open to studying and testing with foundations. And that is so true. And, Belinda and Marcy and Christine, let's think back. We have people that are part of the E3 group. Belinda, you have a lot of people that are just coming on board with the VA Connection, who are looking for those types of people to help and support them. What should they be looking for in those people? Not necessarily the family, because we know they love us and want to protect us, but what type of individuals or personalities or things should we be looking for?
I think we should look for people who we resonate with. I think that's the number one most important thing, because when I started the VA Connection, I saw people. So I didn't really study. I observed what other people were doing for a couple of years, because I was trying to figure out what did I want to do. And I was working full time as a VA. I was really busy, but it was sort of like boiling, bouncing around in my head. And I looked at a lot of coaches and mentors, and I was like, they are trying to scare me into hiring them. I'm not doing that. They're telling me, they're coming from, you need me because. I'm not doing that. What I found was someone who said, here's how I do it. Do you like that? It's like how you pick a spouse, right? It's very similar. Do you like how they already are? That's my winning tip for getting married, which I learned the hard and long way. But it's really looking for someone that when they're speaking about it, does it make sense? Does it make sense? And do they understand you? Are they talking over you? Are they listening? I mean, it's not that different from finding friends or clients or anything. It's just really what is this person up to, and what are their values? Do I trust them? That's what I would say. And here's the big one. Do they have what I want? Do they have what I want? Yeah. Absolutely. I have some dating coaches that are not married. I'm like, how does that work? Right? It's like, yeah.
See, and that's it right there. And I guess since I know Belinda, that's the part that, when I started looking for what was missing in my business, I had taken other courses. I had heard about being a virtual assistant, had taken other courses, and they were fine, but I was still missing something. And so many of us who have gone through Belinda's VA school, or who have gotten to know her through the VA Connection, will laugh and talk about how we stalked her for months, some of us for even years, because of the content that she'd put out. We'd stumbled across her some way or another. But when I actually made that decision to do what she's in the process of wrapping up right now, a week of Kickstart Your VA Business, I was just at a loss. I knew I was missing something in my business, and knew it had to be out there, and knew it had to be practical, and connected with Belinda. And that was the key. Everything that she said made sense to me, where the other things that other coaches had done and said, it was fine. It might have been fine for other people, but for me, it wasn't. And there was just a disconnect until I met Belinda. And then there were light bulb moments going off left, right, and center. And those are the things that I encourage entrepreneurs to do, is to keep looking until you find that person that makes sense to you. They are out there.
Absolutely. And I just want to highlight something that Belinda said, and I don't want it to go unnoticed. She said somebody who has what you want, which implies that you know what you want and what you're looking for, right? Because I have coached a lot of people in fields that I know nothing about. Like, I have coached lawyers. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything about being a lawyer, but I know confidence, and I know assertiveness, and I know speaking. Right? So I can coach them in those three things, even though I don't know anything about the law, if that's what they're looking for, if that's what they want, right? So it's a matter of understanding what it is that you want to work on, and finding that someone that can help you in that, right? So it's being hyper-focused on what it is that you want to accomplish through this relationship, right? Like, I have a coach for funnel building and for marketing, and that's his thing. And he knows nothing about speaking. In fact, he's a terrible public speaker, but I can use him for that. And then I've had other coaches that have helped me home in and perfect my speaking. They're good at that, but they would be horrible at the marketing and funnel building, right? So it's a matter of understanding exactly what it is that you want from that relationship, and looking for someone who is open and willing to give you that. So I just wanted to highlight that, because Belinda mentioned it, but I just wanted to make sure that we all grabbed it, right? It's what do you want? And then find someone who has what you want.
That's really important. And so right now, I have a school, it's called VA School, and enrollment is open until tomorrow at midnight. And it's been interesting because different people over the years have enrolled. Yesterday, a man who's retired enrolled, and he wants to be a professional. He's a service provider, right? He wants to provide coaching and mentorship, and everything that's in VA school will work. We've had bookkeepers go through and not offer VA services, but just wanting to get their service-based business for bookkeeping. Or we had, I'm trying to think what was, oh yeah, there's one woman, Diane, she wanted to use the same principles to help her. It was something like proposals and RFPs for architects. Like she wanted help with the marketing and the confidence and all of that. So you're exactly right. And when I talked to these people beforehand to make sure that they were a good fit, because I don't want people to sign up especially if they're on the edge a little bit about what they're doing and how it'll work. It 100% lines up, because it's what I've been doing for my financial planner clients or my marketing coach clients, or all of it's the same stuff. It's all service-based work.
Absolutely.
Well, and Marcy, what you said as well, what you want out of that relationship, I think that's really key, because sometimes we need to be able to refine that. We need to be able to hone in on what we're really wanting out of that relationship, whether it be a coach or a networking group or something like that. So
absolutely,
that's really important.
Absolutely. And there are, I was part of a mastermind where one of the members in the mastermind was an alligator wrestler, right? And she had a business where she helped people work through their trauma by wrestling alligators. She was unique. There was no one else I had ever heard of and have ever heard of since that does that. But in that particular mastermind, she wanted to know about connecting with people and networking and getting the word out about her business. So it didn't matter that what she did was completely different. What she wanted from the relationship with the mastermind, she got, right? So once you're clear on what it is that you want, you can find where you fit.
And there's always someone to fit your particular personality as well, right? I think what's important for me from anyone that I talk to who will coach me or mentor me is that they will give me the pushback. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you go in and, this is my subject area of expertise. And they're a lay person, they're not in the subject area. And they're like, okay, it makes sense to you, but is it making sense to everyone else? And let me give you the pushback. And sometimes you can receive it better when you're writing the check to the person because you feel they have your best interest, right? They're vested in the relationship. And hopefully that makes you more receptive to what it is they're saying. Because I don't want my coach to be a yes man or yes woman or whatever that is. I need you to give me constructive input. That's also something to look for. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yeah, exactly. And when you find those coaches or invest in those programs, making sure that it's really personal to you and that they are invested in you, because again, we've all come across those things that worked and that didn't work, or there was something missing. So just really trying to drill down and find, what you need at the place that you are in your business and in your entrepreneurial journey. It's really important.
Now, Belinda, I'm curious because I've heard several postures on this, but where do you stand on niching down? What are your thoughts on that?
Let's go. That's so funny. As soon as you started talking, I was like, she's going to ask me about the niche. So we're like, great. So I think it's silly to start out with a niche. It's fiction. Now, I've read all of those business books because when I started my very, very first business, I bought a business, what is it? It's a business, what is it called? Where you plan a business plan, right? And they're like, you need a niche and an ideal client, and you need a budget, you need to figure all this out. Like, who are you kidding? How do you even know, right? So the skills that I used as a virtual assistant, I learned over the years. I didn't even know what my favorite things were until 3 years in. So what was kind of funny is that I was very, I separated myself from that conventional wisdom, we'll call it, when I started my business, Rocket Girl Solutions, as virtual assistant, and just aligned with people who I trusted instead. And I started out and I thought, I need a niche, because I'm right at the beginning. And my niche was going to be solving operational problems for startup companies. Did I know anyone with a startup? No. That was a pretty good tagline though, right? Yeah. So I'm feeling my imposter syndrome is down, and I'm like, this is good. Then I found some startups. They had no money, were waiting for their nephew Jason to do the logo, so the website can't be launched, right? It's like, seriously. Now I have worked with some startups where they have money. It's serial entrepreneurs, you know, and we've done that. But so I kind of forgot about the whole niche thing. And then when I started the VA Connection, people started asking me this question, and I was like, what is my niche? And this is really cool, because I was listening to a book yesterday in the car. It's called The Introvert Entrepreneur. Fascinating book. I totally want to have lunch with this woman, because we're so aligned in so much of it. And what she said, she was talking about a niche, and it's like, it has to develop over time. You know, you have to give it some space. And that's what I think too. So when people started asking me what my niche was, I thought, it's middle-aged, successful professionals who are really nice, who can afford me, who give me work that I like to do. Right. And so, right. And so here's the thing that I've said that a lot of times, but what the author of this book, who I might have to look at it so we can give her credit, it's right over there, she said, sometimes it's not the work, it's definitely the work. Like, we had to stay in a lane, you know, of what I can do, but it's about the attributes of who the people are. Now, I am an introvert. Someone being very chatty is not on my list of who I want to work with. It overwhelms me. It sucks my energy. I can't do that, you know? So, but that's really who my people are. They're middle-aged, professional, or sometimes a little younger, sometimes a little older, but they're nice. They're respectful. They respect my boundaries. They're willing to pay me. They don't complain about how much it costs. Those are my people. You know,
which I think her name is Beth Bulow. Does that sound?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't see the title. I think it's Beth though. Yeah. I'm just about to finish that book, and it's fascinating. I listened to it. I'm going to go back with the highlighter in that book and really dive into it, because she takes a lot of the things that I'm teaching like a little next level. And I really appreciate the insights that she has by writing that book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just love your answer. I was just curious, because for me, it also evolved, right? Like, I just started putting content out there, and the more I allowed my voice to come out and my true self to emerge, the more a certain group of people were drawn to me.
That's
and
right.
That became my niche, right? So I was just curious to hear what you had to say, because you hear so much noise out there about so many things. And when you have someone like you who has experienced it, who teaches others how to go about it, I just always like to hear their input. So thank you for that. I agree with you 100%.
Well, let's blow the other three out of the water right now. Okay, the other three are, hopefully I have three in my head. You have to cold call. Don't cold call. Do not go looking for your people. Do not do that. The other one, so niche, cold call. All right, Tori, what's the other one? Social media. You're not going to get clients by putting stuff out on social media. Social media, and Beth, whoever the author, you just said her name a minute ago, what she said, and I love this, it's like, I think she used the word accelerant. It's an accelerant. So you produce the real content, which is what I teach. You send it out over and over consistently. You're teaching people, you're showing them, I'm consistent, I'm trustworthy. I do what I say I'm going to do. I'm in business for real. And then you take that and you put that on social media, boom. You know, but what people will do is, and this, every time I see this, I just get a little stomach ache. I'm like, why you should hire a virtual assistant? Hire me. Why I'm so great. Like, really? How about if you write something about how to keep your inbox clean, and then they think you're smart and you're an expert and their inbox is a mess, and then they hire you to fix that. There's about 25,000 topics like that all people can write about. You know, so I feel like I'm getting a little passionate here. I am very passionate about this. Because I just see, what I see is that people go out on the internet and they see all this stuff about cold calling and niching and, you know, and social media, and you have to be 24/7. And then it's a barrier. because they don't want to do that. They don't want to necessarily talk to people. I had lunch with a friend yesterday, and we were at this park, and there were all these people, and I was like, this is too people-y for me. And she's like, I know, let's go somewhere else. So, and it stops them in their tracks. And then they come to my free training, and they are kind of like, this is a terrible visual, but it's how it looks to me is, you have a dog and you lift up the newspaper because you're picking it up, and they go like this, because someone hit them. And that's how I process the people who have been told these things over and over and over, and they're just so beaten down by it. And it makes no sense. It just makes no sense.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
Christine, go ahead.
And it creates this, because I am an introvert, it creates this fear in you to even move forward. It's like, okay, why am I bothering? Because I have to niche. I have no niche. I do accounting and bookkeeping. I can do it in every single industry. Why do I need to niche? It's not fun that way. It sucks some of the joy out of what it is we really enjoy doing for people, which is what? Helping, being of service. And if I have to pick one group or one population to do that in, it's like, okay, now it's boring, and I don't want to be bored.
Right. And some of my students have gotten beat up because they go to these events, and what happens is someone will say, what's your niche? And they say, I don't believe in a niche, or Belinda said, I don't need a niche. And then they go in, they're like, yes, you do. And they start doing the thing. And then, so already this person is feeling imposter syndrome and introverted. And now all of a sudden they're getting pounded over the head. So what I teach my people to say is, I have and this, you could use this too. It's like, I specialize in bookkeeping and accounting. And I found that I really enjoy working with a wide variety of people. And, the services, it works across many industries, and I enjoy the variety. And you just have to say enough that they're clear, that you're clear, and then you do this. And if they keep going, say, I know, that's so interesting. I've heard that. And then just like, la, 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 la,
Let it go. But what I was going to say is that I was inside a Facebook group this morning, and somebody wrote a comment that they're a VA and they're getting all these fake jobs, like people acting like they're going to hire them, and then it turns out to be a scam of some sort. And my immediate thought was, that's because you're doing what you were mentioning, Belinda. You're going out there and going, this is why you should hire me, or going into people's DMs and going, do you want me to help you with this or that or the other? They're inviting this in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
I have some strong opinions on that too. And part of it is because I'm on the 8th day of this free training that we've been doing. So I have been with a couple thousand people in the weeds with them. And so it's very front of mind right now, or top of mind. So here's what happens. People go on Facebook groups that are going to help you find business. And what happens is somebody puts a post, and I hear me with the visuals, right? This is what it's like. Everybody's jumping up. They're trying to get noticed. Some of them you can see have no idea because they're like me, and it's like, no. And then others invest all of this time, and they really, write a proposal or think about it and invest their time. And they're in competition, direct competition. And then what happens is they don't get it. Their heart gets broken. Right. And they're like, why should I do this? And this is how I experienced this. This is like a childhood memory, I think, of fishing in Alabama. And my dad would clean the fish, and he would throw the fish heads back in the water. I think I don't actually remember, but maybe this is from Jaws. But, all the sharks come, and the blood is all in the water, right? From the chum or whatever it's called. That's what that's like. Now, when you go and get clients the way that Tori does and the way that I teach, there's no competition. Because what I'm teaching you to do is this thing called the simple success formula, which is to stay in touch with the people have them understand what you do in a clear, simple way, repeat. And there's a million ways to stay in touch that are so introvert friendly and extrovert friendly that you don't get exposed. And so in my big Facebook group, the VA Connection, we allow job posts, but they have to follow a specific formula or they're deleted, and we turn the comments off because I'm not going to have any blood in my community,
Mm-hmm.
And Tori knows, she's one of our ambassadors. We have 5 women in the group every single day, and she is monitoring everything that's happening in there, and, you know, making sure it's a safe, welcoming place for people. And that's that was actually one of the ideas that one of the ambassadors had a while ago: turn off the comments. So I want you to stay out of those Facebook groups that are specifically for that. If you want to go as an entrepreneur into a group like this and be a fellow entrepreneur who's a VA, way to go. I mean, that's brilliant that Tori's in here, because she's an entrepreneur just like all of you are. It's when we get tripped up and we think we're somebody's helper and that we're not an entrepreneur in our own right that it gets confusing.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, and Belinda's approach, and I know we're getting to the point where we need to start wrapping up, but I really do want to dive into this one element. The things that Belinda teaches are they're so common sense that I think we overlook it because it is so simple, and it is a simple approach to success that does work for us, that goes through her VA program. But more importantly, it's not just for VAs, it's for all entrepreneurs. Reaching out to your individuals that you know, and Belinda will attest to this. That was what I dragged my feet on, kicking and screaming. No, Belinda, I can't reach out to people I know. They're not going to hire me. They don't know. They don't have to hire you, Tori. You just have to get your name out there. And so one thing led to another, that I would have thought in my small little town, there would not be any opportunities. I now sit on 2 boards. I now have people coming to me, and it's amazing. Just being able to believe in yourself and to just reaching out to people that you already know. It truly is that simple, and it works across the board, no matter what your business venture is.
Right, and you're not selling. You're
exactly.
You're building actual relationships. The way that I think of it, because sometimes people get caught up, it's scheduled friendships. Because the truth is that if I don't have on the calendar to get in touch with one of my friends, I might not. Like my friend Laura, I saw yesterday, I haven't seen her in 4 years. She's 2 hours away, and we just don't do it. And so now I've learned, to put my friendships on my calendar, because I need to do that. And it's the same with my business friends, keeping in touch with them. But it's not selling. It's just being able to talk about your work and what I teach the virtual assistants. And this can work with any industry. I'm a virtual assistant. I work with entrepreneurs. I help them with the admin pieces of their business, like website updates, PowerPoint presentations, and email newsletters. And then I do this, and now there's room for discussion. Like, that's what I teach them. I'm a financial planner. I specialize in helping divorced women who are who want to have, I'm making this up, so a solid plan going forward for their retirement. I help them with, name 3 financial things, and then stop talking. So most VAs do not do this. Most business owners are not prepared for the question, what do you do? They either have some kind of elevator pitch that starts with them going, I was just working on this. What did it say? It was like, I help, like, I don't even know. And it makes no sense. Or they just start talking and talking and talking. And either side of the spectrum is not a winning solution. I have learned all this stuff. It's not that I'm so smart. It's that I made all these mistakes. That's why I can speak confidently. I made every single one of these mistakes. I overwhelmed people. I tried to sell them. I didn't get clear on my pricing. I had a niche that didn't exist. All the things. So it's not that I'm some kind of oracle. I was like, wow, okay, I just talked too much. Maybe I should stop talking.
Love it.
Yeah. And I think Belinda just answered the final question that I had for today is, how do you come back from mistakes that you make in your business?
Well, I love this question. What I used to do is beat myself up, feel really bad, suck the energy out of me. And I have to think more about how this feels so I can describe it. But it's like, there's no breath in my body. That is what it is. There's no breath in my body, and there's like blackness in front of me. And the only thing I can think of is, you are such an idiot. I can't believe you did that. And I spent a lot of time doing that. And it was a change that occurred over time when I learned to talk nicely to myself in my head. And, it's still evolving. But now what I found, and I noticed myself do this a couple of weeks ago. I did something for the first time, and it wasn't great, but it was like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm doing these short form videos and I'm learning about it. And I've made like 65 of them. And that's how I'm learning. And one of them I watched after I posted it, and I thought, oh, I'm going to do this instead. And I just started trying to make it like 5% better, 5% better, 5% better. So when we do these trainings that Tori was talking about, this is our 14th free training, the week-long training we've done. Every time I do, like today, I talked about a way that I get paid. And as soon as it's over, I sit with it for a minute and I think, where did you stumble? What did you leave out? What were the questions that people asked? And I just put them at the top of the presentation. So the next time I do it, I can make it better. And that's where the real fun comes, is in the making it better, when I skip the first part, the feel really bad part.
Absolutely.
It took a lot of practice, though. It really did. And it also took kind of isolating myself from a lot of people, not because I don't like people, but because I just started talking to the people who knew what I was talking about, entrepreneurs, coaches, being in mastermind groups, people who are up to something similar and wanted to freely share information from a place of abundance. That's really what it was about.
Well, as we start to wrap up, Marcy, Christine, do you have any questions for Belinda before we close out?
Just gratitude. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm glad we got to do a second part. And I mean, I gleaned so much from the first time. This time, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's still so much more. So thank you. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, thanks for listening to me. I love sharing this. I'm really, as you can tell, passionate about it. And, there's so many times I get it from my desk to go have lunch with my husband, and I say, I cannot believe I get to do this all day. It makes me even cry a little bit. Like, wow. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Well, that's when you're truly successful at what you do, is when you just can't believe that's what you get to do. You have so much joy from it. Well, Belinda, I just want to thank you so much for coming back on again and sharing about your life, your mindset, your tips, your tricks. As always, it's been a pleasure, and I have a notepad full of notes that will go into my Trello board that you and I always joke about. But thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your insight. And we wish you the best of luck and success with the VA Connection and your future endeavors. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. I enjoyed this so much. Thank you. Thank you. Best of luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.